We're about to break down our mailbag here on NFL Daily. If you do not see your question answered or you have a question that pops up randomly in your head mid-July, whatever, you can always DM me on Twitter. My DMs are open at WhatGoingDowney. From Lore, our 49ers fan, who should the Niners draft next year, and who should they be worried about their opponents for this season? I always advise, hey, don't discount anybody. You know, the Niners in the NFC have the target on their back. They're the best team in the division, in the conference. So you're going to get a lot of times the A game from the teams. No one's going to take you lightly, you know. Draft next year, we'll see how it plays out. Not receiver. Probably stands out to me. I think maybe corner. We'll see how Bernardo Green plays. He might be a nickel for them, Frank, which I would like, actually. We can do some outside stuff as well. I think offensive line. Both tackle spots need some love. Sean Walsh, could the Houston Texans trade John Metchie this offseason? That wouldn't shock me, right? Because Nico Collins is a one. I am convinced on that. They have Stephon Diggs. In theory, Tank Dell will be back from his injury and his unfortunate gunshot wound. He's your slot receiver. Diggs is there as an outside receiver for a year. They brought back Noah Brown. They have Robert Woods for now. Metchie could get squeezed. Given the investment, sometimes second round pick, you're not going to get that back in a trade. But if you put him on the market, you can get a sixth at worst, fifth maybe for him. You could get something back. It's just you're just selling at the low point because he hasn't done anything so far in his career. Choppy71, Miles Sanders gets traded to the Cowboys from the Panthers. I would not be surprised if come week 1, Miles Sanders is not on the Carolina Panthers roster. Think about that running back, right? They add Rashad Penny. I was kind of surprised they added Rashad Penny, who didn't play much for Philadelphia, but has juice, has explosive plays. Drafted Jonathan Brooks in the second. They have Chuba Hubbard. Raheem Blackshear, I think, is probably going to carve out their kick return role and make the team. Then there's Mike Boone, Tariq Cohen. We'll see if he does anything. Spencer Brown's got some ability. You know, you would be fine with Miles Sanders not being on this team. The money is the issue. It's about $4 million and change he's owed. That would be more than Dallas paid any outside player this offseason. In fact, any player this offseason. So I think Dallas might try to dare him to get cut, but that is a good name to consider on the trade market, specifically for the Cowboys as well. Austin, is there any chance Denver deals Courtland Sutton? I would say no. That won't stop the 5 players who could be traded articles, Courtland Sutton to Pittsburgh, whatever articles. But if you spend a first-round pick on a quarterback, in this case Bo Nix, and you trade away your number 2 receiver in Jerry Jeudy, you normally don't want to also trade away your number 1 receiver. I think by drafting that quarterback in round 1 and not tanking, or even if you take in like a tight end, I think it would have made more sense. Like at that point, I would have bought it. You have to give Bo Nix playmakers. You can't spend a first-round pick on a quarterback and then take his legs out from underneath him by, just not having any playmakers. And I like Marvin Mims. Reynolds can be reliable for you. Hopefully Tim Patrick gets healthy. Troy Franklin knows Bo Nix. But Franklin was a 4th-round pick. You kind of need Courtland Sutton. So this is a tough prediction. I'm going to challenge you guys on this one. How many trades go down between now and week 1 of the NFL season? Is it 5? Is it more? That includes even the random, they flipped a backup lineman for a 7th rounder. It's the pinned comment on today's video, so think about it if you need to while the ad plays, and go vote at the pinned comment. From Steven, the Titans go after Zay Jones after signing Tyler Boyd to truly trade away Treylon Burks. They did bring Zay Jones in for a visit, if I recall correctly. Now, they, of course, signed Tyler Boyd. So I would think that there was probably one or the other between Jones and Boyd. But if you sign Jones to be your receiver 4, you're trading Burks. It makes no sense to keep him anymore unless like an injury happens. Because I actually like Kyle Phillips as a backup slot. You spend a 6th-round pick on Jaquan Jackson. You have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. There's now too many receivers to make the roster on this team. So I would not be surprised, even without a Zay Jones addition, that Tennessee decides to flip Treylon Burks in a trade. CD Prods, do you think Quinn Ewers will be a 1st-round pick? There is the possibility. Quinn Ewers is a frustrating as all get out watch. The arm talent's there. He can make all the off-platform throws. He's a trick shot machine. It's the down-to-down consistency that's just not there. He doesn't see things that well. I think he very much benefited from an elite supporting cast. It was 2 top 50 picks, 3 top 50 picks at the playmakers, plus JT Sanders, plus another draft pick in Jordan Whittington, an elite college OC/play caller in Steve Sarkisian. He'll have a first-round pick on the offensive line in Kevin Banks. He had a day 3 pick in Christian Jones. It's a great team. And the deep ball, honestly, is terrible. I made a big deal about Bo Nix not having good deep ball success, JJ McCarthy being limited there. It was terrible. Like those guys doubled his production when you take out the Bama game. The one game he hit some deep balls. There's no consistency there. The footwork is personal. It drives me insane because it's just so inconsistent and so messy. So he might be a first-round pick if he gets better. But right now, I don't think he would be. There's a lot of projection involved there, like with most teams, but still. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It's very simple. Pick more, pick less on 3 to 6 players or 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings come in. In general, always advise the flex play. The flex play means if you pick 3 and you get 2 right, you win. If you pick 4, you get 3 right, you win. You can get 1 wrong. Now, it is a lower payout, but I am very good about getting all but 1 player projection right. Really good at it. That's why I do the flex play. Helped me out in a pretty major way throughout the NBA playoffs and the NFL regular season, which, by the way, you can do NBA playoff prize pick slates. You can do NHL if you're a hockey guy. Even esports is available. Here's my NFL season-long prize picks. I've got Patrick Mahomes more than passing yards, Dak Prescott more than passing yards, CeeDee Lamb more than touchdowns, Micah Parsons more than sacks as well. And all of those, I'm doing the flex play, doing the more than, because it kind of already factors in some injury risks. Those guys stay healthy. All of those projections are less than what they did last year. Therefore, they should hit it. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Zaire Brown, Tolbert, and a third for Courtland Sutton, and a trade for Najee Harris for the Cowboys. That's not enough for Sutton. Denver's we're getting basically a third and a flyer for our number 1 receiver. They would need more than that. I don't think Harris is getting traded. I know that's been a very popular rumor out there because somebody made it up on Twitter, basically. But I don't think he's going to get moved. And I think Dallas wouldn't want to pay that money. Plus, they have guys that fill the Najee Harris role. That's kind of Zeke's role. You need someone with juice at the running back spot if you are Dallas. Steve Likens? Not sure how to pronounce it, Steve. I'm very sorry. Did the Lions trade for a wide receiver or an edge before the year begins? I think they're going to let it ride at wide receiver. I wouldn't be mad if they made a deal. They have Laporta. He's going to play a big role for them. They also kind of paid Brock Wright, too. I think they want to let Jameson Williams show what he can do. I think they do like DPJ. Remember, they traded for DPJ last year at the deadline. Didn't get to use him a ton. Edge-wise, I think they're banking on Marcus Davenport being that impact player. I think next year in the draft, though, wide receiver edge, definitely 2 spots to monitor, depending on how some of those younger guys play. From Simon, will the Niners trade Deebo this offseason? Maybe. I wonder if they think they missed, because they can keep Deebo on the roster for now, and they can revisit that next offseason. Now, that means you're not going to maximize your current assets, and you're probably going to have to trade or dump one of Ronnie Bell, Jawan Jennings, and Danny Gray, not to mention Chris Conley and Trent Taylor, because in that case, you're keeping Ayuk, Deebo, and Ricky Pearsall. It's a loaded wide receiver room. If you're a team that needs a receiver, call San Francisco. I think for now, Deebo stays. But this might be his last year in San Francisco, whether it's a cut or a trade in the future. I think of the two, right now, I think it's more likely Deebo. Who do you think is more likely to be dealt by the 49ers? DS for Deebo Samuel, BA for Brandon Ayuk. A $5 super chat from Chris B. Thank you, Chris. What do you think the Cowboys should be hoping for to start the season schedule? I think they should hope for an easy start. Tough start could end up a rough season. You know, you just don't want it to be a disastrous start. You don't want to have all of your hard games at the beginning. To an extent, I would rather kind of space them out a little bit because you also don't want to back into the postseason and have a bunch of losses, right? So what you don't want is what the Giants got screwed with last year. Do you guys remember that Giants 2024 schedule was probably one of like the worst setups that are 2023 schedule, obviously, that I can really recall. I think they absolutely kind of got shafted to an extent because they were home against Dallas, at Arizona, at San Francisco, home against Seattle, which I think might have been it was a Monday night game, at Miami, at Buffalo. They played like so many games in a row on the road or overseas, and they didn't have a bye till week 13. Like, they had so many road games, so I thought that was kind of unfair. That's what I don't want to have if I were the Cowboys or any team, frankly. We've got NFL off-season coverage for you all year long. News, rumors, trades, draft, free agency, everything else in between, so don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Richard Iacocco, NASCAR fan, 2024. How many primetime games will the Chicago Bears play this season? The most primetime games you're allowed, I believe, is 5, not including, or 6 including, no, it's 6 now. It is 6. So I don't think they're going to get to the full 6. But I would anticipate, you know what, you're probably going to get like at least 3 or 4 there. It's Caleb Williams, man. Though the Bears are exciting, they're a big market, they will have a bunch of primetime games this year. I'll put the over-under at 4.5 for them. Food review. With the knowledge NFL will put Super Bowl past President's Day weekend, what's your conspiracy on why the schedule is later than most years? I love this one, food review. I think it is late because I think they made a last-second decision to play games on Christmas Day, which I hate, by the way, because I don't think they should be playing Christmas Day games on a Wednesday and a Tuesday. I think that's a terrible idea. It's bad for the players. And I think that's kind of screwing up the strategy. Like, I think the schedule makers are kind of, it's a very difficult job because you got to try to balance it the best possible. It's messy. I think they made that late change, and they're like, oh, no. And they're trying to sell that game, too, to the different TV networks, and that's going on. So I think that later decision has pushed it back a little bit. From Max, why haven't the Bengals traded Tee Higgins, Trey Hendrickson yet? Simple. They don't want to. They want those guys on the team. They want to have Higgins and Chase and Burrow, who, when they played together in a small sample size last year, when healthy, it was the best offense in football from an efficiency perspective. Hendrickson is their best pass rusher by a massive margin. They need those guys to go win games in 2024. They might not be with the Bengals in 2025, but for 2024, they need them. And you don't want to waste a year of Joe Burrow by trading away guys for the future when you have good players already on your team. Now, you guys have a chance to go trade Higgins or Hendrickson to your favorite team here. Put your trade ideas in the comment section right now. Epic Jet, do you think all the AFC North teams are going to go above 500 again or not? The North teams' strength of schedule are all top 10. Remember that a factor in why that strength of schedule is so good is because all those teams were no worse than 7-10 last year. Like, you had a bunch of good football teams. The Bears still won 7 games. Minnesota won 7 games. Green Bay won 9. Detroit won 12. I don't think they'll get to all of them at 500 or better. Sorry, I was looking at the NFC North like an idiot. This happened last year for the AFC North, so I was going like Bears and Vikings. Did happen last year. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati all won at least 9 games. At some point, somebody has to regress. But the AFC North is a dogfight. If they all go 3-3 or even out to 500 or close to it, not having like the Bengals went 1-5 last year, that was kind of kept them out of the playoff race. If all those teams, go 3-3 or close to it, and they win their outside games, it's possible. My guess this year, though, is no.